Welcome to the CBAS Initial Certification Training. My name is Denise Peach, and I'm the Chief of the CBAS branch here at the California Department of Aging. And with me today is Barbara Zapata Hill. She'll be assisting with providing an overview of our CBAS Initial Certification process and an overview of many of the forms that are involved in the entire process. So welcome to the training today. This is designed for potential applicants for CBAS certification. On the agenda today, we're going to give you a little bit of background about how we got here to today. We're going to talk about the initial CBAS certification process in an overview, sort of a high-level discussion. At that point, we're going to walk through steps and forms in detail for the two pieces of this process, the pre-screening process for CBAS and the initial application process. After that, we'll talk about some final steps to prepare you for CBAS certification, summarize, and we'll be done. The training objective today, prospective new CBAS Center applicants will have information needed to complete the CBAS initial certification process. So we're not going to cover it all today, but we're going to do our best to give you the information you need to get started and to get the forms completed for the process. So let's start with a CBAS initial certification process overview. First up, for the first time since August 2004, by way of a little background, CDA is now accepting requests from prospective applicants to begin the process to be certified to provide CBAS. So this is the first time since a moratorium was imposed on new adult day health care providers back in August 2004, and then we converted to the CBAS program in 2012. So no new centers have been brought online since that time, and we are now beginning this process. So this is all brand new to us and to you, so we're gonna learn through this process together. The new CBAS Center certification process is designed to ensure that new CBAS Center applicants are well prepared to deliver quality services to Medi-Cal managed care plan members. So it's designed with these two major steps in order to prepare prospective applicants for providing CBAS services. So again, the two main components are the pre-screening process, designed to provide prospective applicants with resources, so lots of links, lots of educational material, trainings like this one today, and a template for developing a program plan so that only providers and centers that have the support of managed care plan payers and that are prepared to deliver quality services proceed on to the application process. So that's what the pre-screening process is about, to make sure that you're ready for the application process. The second main component is the application itself, which provides the state with required forms for Medi-Cal participation and further demonstrates readiness for CBAS certification. What I'd like to do now is to click on this link and take you out to the CDA CBAS webpage. The landing page here that we have come to is on our forms tab, and this is application materials. Want to acquaint you with what materials are posted on the CDA website at this point for the initial CBAS certification application. There are no application materials posted on this page. What you will find is an overview document that describes the process and provides links. You'll find a pre-screening request form. So this is the form you're going to use if you are interested in obtaining the documents for the pre-screening to get started. So that's the form you would click. Here is a resource guide that is full of helpful links and information. If you're anticipating filling out an application or if you're thinking about CBAS, this is the place to go to learn more, to find resources for developing and moving on to your next steps. The last document here, this is actually a link to the training page of the CBAS website, and this is where you will find the links to the two trainings required as part of the pre-screening process, one which is an overview of the ADHC CBAS program requirements, and the other, this training for overview of the certification process. I'd like to just briefly click on this overview document here and show you now some of the information that's here in this document. Again, provides you with some background about the initial certification process, the two main components, the pre-screening process, which consists of submission of an acceptable program plan, like a business plan, that provides details about the applicant's organization, plan for operating the CBAS Center. It consists of 2 online training modules, and then communication with local managed care plans regarding the proposed center. This is the opportunity that we're creating here for conversation between prospective applicant and the local managed care plans that are the payers for this Medi-Cal managed care benefit. So that's part of the pre-screening process too. After successful completion, and only after successful completion, we'll tell you when that successful completion has been accomplished, the pre-screening process is done, and you may request the application from us to complete the process for initial application, get the application materials. So there are 4 parts to that, and we're going to talk about those parts in detail today. The applicant information, part 1, part 2, management information and services, and then part 3, the facility information, part 4, fiscal information. And there's a note here that I just want to call your attention to, that at the time of submission of the initial certification application to CDA, so once you've completed successfully the pre-screening, you've obtained your application, you've submitted it to CDA, you must either have an ADHC license for the proposed CBAS center or have submitted an application for ADHC licensure. So no CBAS certification unless you are either a already licensed adult day healthcare center or that you've applied for adult day healthcare, because CBAS as a Medi-Cal benefit can only be provided in a licensed adult day healthcare center. So here's some more information about getting started. Again, you click on this link and it'll bring you back out to that request form that you need to submit to get started with the pre-screening process. And then here's where you would send the request form, our address here at CDA, our email address, which is the easiest way to send us that request form to get started, a little bit of information about CDA's CBAS branch staff and what you can expect during the process, that we're going to provide you with technical assistance, including assistance in completing the ADHC licensing application, because that's going to be a big part of this if you're not already a licensed center. Completing the pre-screening reviews, we're going to do that here at CDA, and process your certification applications in the order in which they are received. So first in, first out. Review pre-screening forms and application materials and communicate with applicants by phone and in writing to address issues that need to be resolved or corrected before certification can be finalized. We will coordinate with the Department of Public Health licensing staff as needed, including to ensure timely on-site surveys by both Department of Public Health and Department of Aging, and we'll finalize all of the processes for enrollment in the Medi-Cal program and activation of your national provider identifier, which is what you need in order to be a Medi-Cal provider. So we'll complete all those activities. There's a footnote here on this document that CBAS initial certification now requires an on-site survey by CDA staff. So you'll have an on-site review by Department of Public Health licensing and by CDA to complete this process. Here's what the on-site survey will include. Some of it, review of the facility layout, your staff qualifications and their training, executed subcontracts with any subcontracting providers, operating policies and procedures. Any cited deficiencies at the time will be written into a plan of correction, into a statement of deficiencies, and we'll obtain a plan of correction prior to approving certification. There's a few resource documents here that are listed, resources, links. Here's the link to the CDA webpage for CBAS, the training modules, the resource guide that I just showed you on the application link, and that's a great place to obtain resources and information. Here's the Department of Public Health's webpage, and then here's contact information. So that's all in the overview document, and we will take a really quick look now at the pre-screening request form. And this form is what you're going to use in order to ask for a copy of all of the pre-screening documents, in other words, to get that process started. So, so these documents are not actually posted on the CDA website. You're going to ask for them. So you're going to tell us your name, the applicant's name, your address, the county where you're interested in opening up your center, your contact name, phone number, email, and fax number. When we get this from you, we will at CDA then assign tracking numbers and put information into our documents for you, and we will not accept any pre-screening forms that don't have the tracking number and that haven't come in through this process. So this is the document you'll need to complete to get the process started. So I'd like to now go out here and tell you a few more things about the certification by way of a sort of a high-level review. So again, the main components of the pre-screening process are there's a program plan, like a business plan. It's going to lay out a bunch of information about who you are as an entity, what it is your organization is about, what kinds of services you provide, what your plans are for the center in detail. So this is a long document, and we're going to walk through that in a moment. It has the training components, and then it has the managed care plan communication component, where you're talking to the managed care plan payers in your area to find out if they're interested in having a new CBAS center that they can contract with. You want to find out if they're interested in contracting with you and the planned services that you're anticipating. And then the CBAS initial certification, again, high-level overview. The components are required state application forms, and we're going to walk through those in a moment, some of them in detail, to give you a sense of the kinds of forms that you're going to have to fill out. Another component, we're going to have organizational and administrative information that you're going to provide to us that shows more detail about your readiness structurally as an organization, administratively, to operate the center, policies and procedures, duty statements, etc. The third component here is the facility layout and design information. So you're going to tell us about what your building it looks like and your use of space, etc. in detail. And then fiscal information about your organization and projections for the center so that we can review the soundness of the fiscal part of the application. So those are the four main components of the initial certification application. So again, the two steps, the pre-screening and the application itself, and now we're going to spend a little time walking through some of the forms for pre-screening. So there are 5 pre-screening forms or documents. The first one we already took a look at. That's the request for the CBAS pre-screening, and that's the one that's on our CBAS webpage at CDA. You're going to click on that, fill it out, and send it to us to get started, and we will send back to you the template for the program plan, the program plan addendum. So there's an addendum to that plan that provides some information about your current directors, etc., that we use for some required screening that we do of the application. So we're going to do this up front in the pre-screening. Then we have the training form completion. So you're going to certify to us that you completed the 2 training modules, and then you're also going to document your contacts with the managed care plans in your area. So now what I'd like to do is to jump out and walk through some of those forms. So let's take a look at the program plan. And this is the most extensive part of the pre-screening process, where you're going to be sharing with us information about your organization and the plan for the center. This is going to be the real detail of your plan that we're going to review up front before the application starts. I want to highlight that there's going to be a tracking number on here, and that we at CDA are going to fill out this header information. Again, if we don't do this and we receive a program plan from someone, we are not going to be processing that. We will be returning it. So let's just a high-level overview, and then Barb, I'm going to let you jump in here and help me with some of the details. There are, I think, 6 or 7 main sections. So we have Section A, where we're going to look at some applicant information, background, and center overview, where you're going to tell us about what your organization is, what your history, mission, values, objectives, what your organization is about. So you're going to be talking to us about that, your core businesses, etc. Then we're going to be going through, and I just want to highlight as well here that this document contains some references, so you can look up the laws and regulations and policy that gives you some support for some of these items that we're asking for. The facility information is the second section, where you're going to tell us information about when you're going to be operating, where you plan to operate. If you've already got your facility, some of you will already have your center in mind or your location in mind. If you don't, you're going to be telling us about what your plans are for the facility. Section C is about the center administration. Again, some information about the leadership in the organization, your mission, vision, values, kinds of information. Talking about your staff orientation and training plan for when they're first hired, the first 6 months, your staff training plan. Want to see what the game plan is to get your staff on board in the initial phases of your operation. Again, this is about your preparedness to provide quality services. Section D talks about target populations, some information about ethnicities, languages spoken of the people that you plan to serve, specialty populations, whether you're expecting to serve a frail elderly population, a DD population, Alzheimer's population, whatever that may be, you're going to tell us about it there. You're going to talk about anticipated services that you're going to be providing to meet the needs of these individuals. And in Section E, here's some more detail about the center services, the program elements that you're required to have as an ADHD CBAS provider, and then again some detail about how those program elements are going to meet the specialized needs of the population you're serving. Section F is about the center staff, again special qualifications of these staff, their responsibilities in meeting the needs of the people you serve. Section G, we're going to ask you to complete a sample individual plan of care for a hypothetical participant. So you're going to give us a sense that you have a game plan for the type of care you're going to be providing, person-centered care for the individuals that you're planning to serve. Section H here, any additional information that you think is relevant that we missed in the first few sections, and then this is going to be submitted, your program plan, along with the other forms to CDA as part of your complete pre-screening packet. Barb, lots of things I'm sure I missed here, but what do we need to let people know about in this program plan for right now?
I think you did a really good overview, actually.
Okay.
I think just being very careful, read everything and answer all the questions where they pertain to you, where they're applicable. Please use NA if it's not, because if you don't, then we're thinking maybe you missed something. So I don't really have any more to add there.
Okay, great. Well, we have a lot of detail to come. So this is the program plan document. Next up, we have a program plan addendum. This is a form that is going to come along with the program plan that provides information about various individuals in your organization so that we can do some pre-screening up front. The Department of Aging is required by the federal government through the Medicaid integrity statutes that we do certain kinds of screening of the individuals in your organization, and so we're going to ask you for information about those individuals up front. Some of them we'll learn about later in the process in the application, but these are the ones that are identified up front that we're going to take a look at just to make sure that they're clear for participation. Anything else on that? So here's the list of the individuals involved. And more on that in the application. We're going to go over that in just a moment. This is the pre-screening training module completion form. Again, pretty basic here. You're going to be required to complete 2 training modules. One is the overview of the program requirements for ADHC and CBAS. The other, the overview of the certification process, which is what you're doing right now. And you're going to put the names of the individuals from your organization who are completing the training in here, the date they completed it, they're going to sign it, and you can either scan this document and send it back electronically with all the documents, because you can either send the documents back to us that way, or you can print it out at that point, have them sign it, and mail it. So your choice, either to send the documents back in an electronic format or to mail them to us. Anything additional here?
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to add is no one's prohibited from reviewing these training modules. I would highly recommend share the information. Let everybody at least look at the program requirements, if nothing else. So,
sure. Probably not everybody's that interested in how to fill out the forms, but most definitely, as Barb says, probably all your staff can benefit from a review of the training module around the basic program requirements. So if you put that into your program plan as one of the in-service training plans for your staff, that they all view that, that would probably be a great idea. All right, and then the final document for the pre-screening part. This is the managed care plan contact list. So here you're going to be documenting the date that you made contact with a managed care plan in your area, the representative that you made contact with, and their contact information. You're going to tell us a little bit about the content of your discussions. So if you met with them in person, you talked with them over the phone, you shared your program plan, they gave you some feedback on your program plan, you changed your program plan based on a meeting with them. Whatever it is that you can share about the interaction with the plans, that's terrific. You can put it in here. If you were unable to be successful in communicating with the managed care plan, we want you to document that as well. If you're in one of those counties where you have a lot of managed care plans, like San Diego County, and you made contact with 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, you can copy this form and give us a second page. Is there anything else here?
No.
Okay, so that's the detail on the 4 steps to the pre-screening process, or the 4 components. So I've lost my place. So here we go. So now let's talk about in more specific detail. So here that we've gone through all 5 of those forms for the pre-screening. Now you've successfully completed your pre-screening process. We at CDA will notify you've been successful, and at that point you may, if you still want to go, you can ask for an application, and we'll send you the application materials. And we're going to work with you, because there's going to be a lot of different cases where prospective applicants come to us at different phases. You may already have received an ADHC license through the Department of Public Health, so you've already filed an application, you're already up and running and serving private pay clientele, and now you're coming after CBAS, or you're going to submit an application for Department of Public Health. We want to work with you as to what kinds of forms need to be submitted to complete the process for CBAS. Either way, all of the forms we're talking about today are required, both steps in the process for CBAS, irrespective of where you are in the process with licensing. So let's go walk through the initial application process. Okay, so here again, the main components. The application, when you receive the application instructions, you will see that there are 4 parts to the application. There's the applicant information piece, which has the required state application forms, or many of them are in that section, including the provider agreement and disclosure forms, and Barb is going to go through some of those in detail next. The management services information, where we have information about your organization chart, your staffing forms, so there's some required forms in this section as well, duty statements, subcontract boilerplate, policies and procedures. So we want to see that all those pieces are in place so that you've demonstrated a readiness to get up and operating. Part 3 is the facility information, where you're going to give us a map and floor plan. At the very end of the process, a copy of your ADHC license, because again, you can't be CBAS certified until you have an ADHC license. And then if it's appropriate, if you're sharing space with somebody, there's a required form that you have to submit for that. And then part 4, we're going to look at fiscal information for your organization, balance sheet, operating budget, and cash flow forecasts and assumptions. So we're going to take a little walk through some of these forms now. We're going to try to keep it only as detailed as it needs to be on the important forms, trying to spend a little bit more time and caution you about some of the things that might be confusing. Want to also just remind you that after you receive the application documents, you're welcome to call us and talk to us during the process of completion, so we make sure that you get things right the first time. So we're going to spend a little time in detail on some of the forms now, some of the more important forms, and then we're going to overview the others. So let me go ahead and pull up the first document. I think that, Barb, you'll agree is probably the most significant document in the application, and probably one of the most challenging to complete.
Yes, and it's very critical that you really review this form and all of the instructions, those that come with each form, as well as the general instructions that come with your application. You'll be given guidance in both, so please make sure you review everything carefully.
I'm going to scroll really quickly just down to the end of this form to show where the application instructions are here, and then there will be some additional CBAS instructions, right, Barb, that we're going to give them. So these are the general forms that instructions that come with the form, and then there's some additional instructions that we'll give you as part of the application. Okay, sorry, make everybody dizzy here.
So as we said, this is a very critical form, and it's a very universal form. First of all, you need to know, you're not going to know what all of the language is that's within it. This form is used for all categories of provider types for the Department of Public Health for licensures. So some of the language is not going to be clear. So let's start with the first page, page 1, section A. Item number 1. Now I'm going to go through this pretty detailed, and I'm going to probably do one other form like this, and then we'll just touch base on the rest of the forms. But again, please make sure you read all of the instructions prior to completing the form. So in section A, number 1, what type of application is this? This is your initial ADHC CBAS application. So you want to make sure that's indicated there. Item number 3, I'm not going to go through each item. I'm just going to kind of highlight most of it, but not all of it. Item number 3 is where your licensure fee will be enclosed. You'll make out a check, money order, whatever, to the Department of Public Health. The licensure fees, cost, are on the Department of Public Health website. There in your resource guide, you will find the link there that will take you there. The type of change is not going to apply, of course. The type of facility, you're going to indicate ADHC. K, Adult Day Healthcare Center. Excuse me. For number 6, item number 6, you are not applying for the Medicare program, so you're going to want to enter no there. And then on number 7, you are applying for the Medi-Cal Medicaid program, so you would answer yes there. Number 8, this item is where some of the confusing language is. Adult Day Healthcare Centers do not have facility bed capacities, but they do have a licensure capacity. So that's where you're going to put, this is where you will put your proposed license capacity. You would enter there on B, 8B. Item number 9, it asks for the range of clients. Adult Day Healthcare CBAS providers, they provide services to individuals 18 years and older, and that's all you have to put in there. This form asks for your days and hours of operation on item 10. The general instructions for this form that go along with this is asking you to also not just to enter the days and hours of operation, but also to include your hours of service that you're going to provide to the participants or have available for the participants. These are those 4 hours at least that they're required to receive, excluding transportation services, in order for you to be reimbursed for a day of service. We're going to jump down to page 2, section B. This is very, very critical. The whole form is critical. But section B, item number 1, this is where you're going to enter your licensee's number. This is the name that you have registered with the Internal Revenue Service and the Secretary of State. This is asking for the licensee's name only. So please do not add doing business as whatever. Licensee's name only here. Now this form I'm recommending that you use as a master sheet. This licensee's name will be what you're going to use throughout all of the other forms in this package. So please make sure that you reference B1 as your licensee's name throughout all documents. Jumping down to 2, you're going to enter your employer's tax ID number. There's going to be questions about this on other forms, so of course you're going to want to enter the same number. And then item 3, you're going to enter your owner type. How have you registered with the Secretary of State and IRS? This is how you want to make sure that you're registered with, or indicate here, your owner type should be the same. Your licensee's address and city needs to be entered there as well. If anything's pending as far as like an email or fax number, that's fine, but we would like that information prior to your initial licensure and certification survey. Item number 5, you're going to want to enter any other facilities, agencies, or clinics that you've had either operated, managed, or have some ownership in. And then answer section B, which asks if there's been any revocation of license or activity imposed on any of those. You want to make sure you disclose everything and submit additional information as requested. Item number 6, you would also complete that section if the licensee is a subsidiary of another organization. So just complete the questions or provide the information as asked. Page 3 is section C. Item number 1 doesn't pertain to you right now because it says it's only applying to the skilled nursing facilities and intermediate care facilities. However, if you are going to be under a management agreement, you're going to answer some things later on in this document. There's a section E that you're going to go to regarding the management agreement. So item number 2, again, is very critical on this form. This is where you're going to put your proposed center's name. You're not going to have a facility license number, but you will have your name of your center. This center's name, item 2, is going to be reflected throughout a lot of the other forms, so make sure whatever you have here is exactly the same on the other forms. Please be consistent. It will cause delays if you're not, so be real careful. We're going to jump down to item number 4. If the mailing address for the center is different, go ahead and enter that here. If it's not, of course, you're not going to have an address to enter, but we do want the fax and the email address for the center. Again, upon initial submission, if it's pending, indicate that, but prior to your initial licensure and certification survey, you're going to want to have that available. Item number 5, the person you have in charge of your facility, if it's not the center's administrator or program director, we would like to have a contact number that we're asking that you enter in the title field there for that individual. Item number 6 is the name of your administrator, the date of hire. B, as a rule, for the name of director of nursing is not really applicable to adult day healthcare CBAS centers. However, we will see where maybe the lead nurse is there, but it's not necessary. There is no director of nursing in CBAS. Item number 7 is very critical. This is where you want to share who are the individual persons with at least 5% ownership or interest in your organization. Please make sure the names are legal names, the percentage of ownership is indicated, their EIN number, that's the employer's identification number, is entered, what relationship, if any, they have with one another. Now, if you're going to enter, or if you have another organization, company, or what have you that is an owner of your organization, and it's not a name of an individual person, you have to disclose that company's ownership as well. So for instance, on number 1, I'm Barbara Zapata Hill, I have 75% ownership. Peach Incorporated, on number 2, she has the other 25, but it says Peach Incorporated. I have to disclose who is Peach Incorporated. Is it Denise Peach or somebody else? So we need to indicate, you need to indicate who those other entities are. Be very clear here. Number 8, 9, and 10 is not applicable to us at this time. So let's go to page 4, the property information. Item number 1, how is your center? Is it owned by you, or are you renting it, leasing it, or whatever, your property control? And don't forget, this is going to be something that you're going to have to make sure licensing has, as far as you have to have control over the property in order to get your licensing application or certification processed. Item number 2 is the owner of record. So whoever owns the company, the building for your center, that goes on that first line. If it's not you, you don't own it, and you're leasing it or renting it, you will be the lessee. That's where you would put the center's name. Okay, so if you're subleasing, of course, then you would enter it there. As a rule, record of owner, if you don't own it, it's usually another company, and then we usually see the center organization as the lessee.
So it's the provider, just to clarify, Barb, it's the licensee or provider name here, not the center name, as the leasee.
Whoever's the lessee, who's ever under the contract
Great.
as a rule would be the lessee, or licensee.
Great.
Section E is what I had referred to earlier. If you are under a management company arrangement where they're going to operate your facility, your center, then you would need to submit a separate application. You have to submit the completed attachment E1 page, which is down underneath right here.
Okay.
This is what you would complete for that. Only if you're under a management company agreement. And then section F, the applicant needs to sign the form. So the applicant or the designee, but it needs to be pretty much the applicant. The title of the applicant and then the date that it's signed.
So it's the legal representative for the organization.
Yes.
Right. Okay, great. So here's section E. We already saw that, so more information about management company. And then here's the instructions that we previewed earlier that we've cautioned to do a quick or do a studied read of to make sure that you get it all down before you fill it out. Anything else on the HS200, Barb? I know this is a super important form.
I'm sorry, I don't have it listed out, but yes I do. They're within this form and instructions. They're going to ask you as the applicant to submit additional information, such as a statement giving a brief history and general description of the owner, including functions, philosophy, and objectives. This is something you have already done in your pre-screening forms. But so I would recommend, because licensing wants this information as well, you might want to share your program plan with them because that involves everything that this form's asking you as far as that statement
So
goes.
just attach it as an attachment to the HS200.
Yes, instead of going
Great.
through that statement or whatever.
Great.
There's also an organizational chart and flow chart for the organization, not for the center, but for the organization that's requested, as well as a copy of your IRS and franchise tax board letters of determination if you're a nonprofit agency. Again, we talked about if you're an owner of the property or you're leasing or renting, they want to have that document as well. So you want to make sure, again, thoroughly read everything. Make sure you submit everything that they're asking you. And the forms and the instructions will even differentiate between whether you're a corporation or an LLC, a limited liability company, or whatever. So again, be very careful and read thoroughly. If you have questions, give us a call.
Okay, so that's the overview of the licensing and certification application form. HS200, Department of Public Health requires it, CDA requires it. Here's a real quick look, HS215A. Again, we're just sort of previewing some of the required state forms, and this form is the applicant individual information. Again, like the HS200, at the very end of the document, it has, sorry for making everybody dizzy, it has instructions at the end that say who needs to fill this form out. This is about the individuals that are involved in the organization. So you look at this list and see who has to fill this out. Agent, partner, director, managing employee, administrators, and each individual person having a beneficial interest of 5% or more in the corporation. If there's a corporation, it is a nonprofit, it's boards of directors. So there's a lot of people who will need to fill out this form and tell us some very detailed information about who they are, and some background information here about them, professional licenses that they hold, any kind of relevant experience that qualifies them to operate the facility, and some other involvement they've had in other facilities in or out of California, other healthcare or licensed facilities, and any adverse actions they've had in the past. I think that the I guess the bottom line for this one, Barb, and you help me out here, is that we have a lot of people who complete this incorrectly, incompletely. We know that there are some things that they should be disclosing to us because we can see that on our databases that we have access to, but they're not disclosed. We don't want you to get into that kind of a situation, because just because there's something in the past, it doesn't necessarily prohibit participation.
Exactly.
So you don't want to be in a position of trying to withhold anything, because that's a sure exit out of the process if you don't disclose or you falsely disclose. So there's a lot of things on this form, again, that I would say I think are a little bit confusing to people. So read the instructions closely. Anything else, Barb?
Just call if you have some questions. It's a lot easier to call and discuss things. Make sure if you've got questions, am I on the right path? We'll let you know that.
Okay,
So
that's great. All right, next up, this one's just very briefly, this is what? This is
your administrative organization. So if you're a corporation, you're going to complete this side of the form. If you go down to the second page, if you're a public agency or you have partnerships or a limited liability company, you're going to complete this side.
okay.
If we can go back up to the first form.
You bet.
Piece.
There's a little bit of instructions there, but not much.
Yes, there's instructions within the form, and then also within the general instructions you get your application with, there might be some
Okay.
other things there.
More detail there.
But one thing I'd just like to point out in section number 10, let's just go down there. What we need are of course, your board officers, your board chair, secretary, etc. But we also need to know who are your board members. If this space doesn't allow you to enter all the names there, attach a list that gives us all that information, okay? And then the other thing is, I'm sorry, but number 8. 8 and your HS200 number 5, usually look alike. Again, you're asked the same question you were on the HS200 5A. Any facilities that you've operated, owned, were associated with, enter them there. Just
okay.
like,
so that goes
before.
to that consistency issue, huh, Barb, where we find that the application has one document that that looks one way and another that looks differently, and then we're back and forth and there's delays.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Great. So make everything consistent in these forms. This form right here, this is a form that, again, important to read all the way down to the bottom, because what you'll find is down at the bottom it says this is where this form is to be mailed to. This doesn't actually even come to CDA. We get a copy of it. Is that true, Barb? Or?
If you as the applicant want to make a copy, you should always keep a copy of everything for your records. But you can give us a copy and Department of Public Health just to show us that you have completed it.
Right.
But please do not send it to the Department of Public Health or to the California Department of Aging. It goes to the Department of Healthcare Services, to their Civil Rights Office.
So this
Office of Civil Rights.
So again, follow the instructions and complete the Civil Rights Compliance Review form and send it to the Department of Healthcare Services. It'll also be in your application to demonstrate to us that you've completed it. This is another critical form that has to be filled out. It's a long form that has very few places where you're actually entering information about your entity, your provider number, your address, etc. And then at the beginning, and then there's sign-offs at the end that need to be notarized. But this is a form that all Medi-Cal providers must complete, and it specifies in great detail. I think there are about 40 items that specify what are the rules for being a Medi-Cal provider. So you most definitely must know what all of these things are, what your obligations are, what the expectations are as a Medi-Cal provider, not just of CBAS, but in general in the Medi-Cal program. So at the end of the document, yeah, there are 40 attestations that you're making, that you understand all of the rules and you agree to them. And so the last page is where, again, you're going to print your name, the name of the person signing the declaration, and your title, and here's where you're going to have a notary who signs off on it and executes the document. Anything additionally here, Barbara?
Yes, item number 6 below, the contact person information. Please make sure you read that carefully, because if you're the person signing the form up above on item number 2, then all you have to do is provide us an email address and your phone number.
Okay.
So, and if you're not, then you have to complete the rest of the information that's being requested in item 6. So just again, review the form and Pleaded as
Again,
requested.
always read the instructions, and then when the instructions confuse you, call us.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm relearning this too, so some of it's very confusing to me. Okay, here we go, the IMS 36. This is the CBAS participation agreement. So the last one was about a general Medi-Cal provider agreement. This is CBAS agreement. This is your contract as a provider with us, CDA. Right there, I'll just cue you because Barb's going to say it. Provider, legal name. Make sure you get it consistent with what's on the HS 200. And this is the center name and the center address. You're agreeing to all the terms here for participation as a CBAS provider, that you're going to meet all the requirements of licensure and certification in the Medi-Cal and the licensing rules. You're going to meet the standards of participation that are in the CBAS portion of the waiver. You're going to meet all your civil rights requirements under Title VI. You're going to maintain all your health records and your documentation. You're going to provide all the required services. There's lots of things in this contract. This is what we'll sign at the very end when we finalize certification with you, and you're going to sign it and send it to us initially. When we finish up the process, we're going to put the dates in and sign it off here as representatives for CDA, and we now have an agreement that we've all agreed to abide to between specific dates. So that's your CBAS participation. Anything additional there?
No.
Okay, moving on. This is another required forms, CDA CBAS 406. Again, many of these forms are required, or most of these forms are required either by the ADHC CBAS laws or regulations, or their general Medi-Cal program rules. So these are all required forms. This is where your corporate representative is going to state that there is no conflict of interest within the organization. Anything else here, Barb?
No. Just the board of directors is the person that would
Board of directors is the person who is executing this, or in the case of a for-profit, that would be the CEO or the board president.
Right, however they're titled in, whatever the organization.
Okay, and you're going to put in your title. So it's the person in charge. Okay, that's the 406. The ADHO 6, this is a staffing form. This is in the staffing section of the application. This is a required form where you tell us all sorts of information about your hours of service, your center name. You will not have had an ADA for the previous quarter, so that's average daily attendance, because this is a form that's used by existing licensed and certified providers. So you're going to be brand new. This is going to be something that you submit at the end of the process when you have all your staff hired, and you're going to tell us all their names, their scheduled number of hours per month, the date that you hired them, if they have a license, registration, or certificate, like for example, let's say the dietitian, they will have a license number, the nurse will have a license number, and an expiration date. You're going to put it all in there. We're required to look at all of those, as are you, to make sure that you have people who have licenses that are up to date. Anything else here?
No.
Yeah, this is the end of the process, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Information about your administrator and program director. Some of this might come at the end of the process as well. This is the CDA 278 form, kind of a resume-like form that tells us about the qualifications of the administrator and program director. Both have very specific requirements in law and regulation, and so you're going to be telling us information about their background that will help us to ascertain that they do meet the qualifications. So that's all going to be in this document. Anything else about this, Barb?
Nope.
278 form?
Just to make sure it's only for the administrator and program director. We don't want it for anybody else.
Yeah, only administrator and program director. I'm sure you don't want to give us any more paperwork than is required. I'm just going to just direct you at this point. There are a couple of forms here for the criminal record clearance, which is required by law. The fiscal officer, the administrator, and program director in CBAS, ADHC are required to have criminal record clearance done. So there's a couple of forms here and information on both the DPH and the CDA websites about how to fill out these forms. We're not going to go over them in detail today, but the information is there, and know that those need to be done before before you're licensed and certified. This form is a form, again, that will most likely come at the end of the process. This is where you're going to tell us about the contractual agreements that you have with the Medi-Cal managed care plans in your area. So your plans are going to be, you're going to be reaching out to them early on in the process, and then when you're getting close to being opened and certified, you're going to be working with them to be credentialed. They are your payers. They're the ones who authorize services. You're going to tell us who they are and information about your agreement. Again, that should come at the end of your process. This form is when you fill out when you are actually sharing space with another entity in your facility, 8807, and we'll talk to you more about that if that's the case at the time. You need to tell us who else who's occupying your space. And then just briefly, I just want to show that there are 3 forms that show information about the financial aspects of your organization. One is a balance sheet. One is a cash flow forecast where you're going to be modeling out what is happening in your organization in month 1, 2, 3 through 12, and this is going to be where you're going to demonstrate how you understand how the financial flow is for your program. And then your operating budget, again, instructions attached to that, and you're going to give us basic information about the operating budget for your program. So that's quickly a review of all of the required state forms. And what we'll do is get back into the conversation about some of the additional things that go along with the application. So we talked about required state application forms that come throughout this the different parts of the application, the 4 parts. There are also additional pieces of documentation that you're going to provide to us about your organization, an organization chart, some duty statements that explain what's happening with each of your positions and how they meet all of the regulatory requirements and the special requirements for the population you're serving at your center. Your subcontract boilerplate language, so you'll have contracts with many entities, transportation, meals providers, some of your therapeutic staff, your PT, your OT, speech therapists, dietitians, they may be under contract with you. So we want to make sure that your subcontract boilerplate language addresses all of the things that are required by law and regulations. Policies and procedures you're going to give us. Not everything. You're going to have a lot of policies and procedures, and we have in the application instructions that we're going to send you when you're ready. It says all of there are 5 of them, Bart, that we're asking to do a pre-review of, and then we list a number of others that are required, and then of course all policies and procedures that are necessary to operate the center and the kinds of programs that you're running. So we want to take a preview look of some of those during the application process. And we have many suggestions about that, don't we, Barb? And I think we give those in our instructions. There's a lot of people out there who don't really have experience in writing policies and procedures, and certainly would be willing to help you get a handle on some of that.
Yes, and we want to make sure that please don't use other people's policies and procedures for your own. You really need to establish your own and make sure you review them and you write them in the manner so your staff know what to do. So there is recommendation in your policies and procedures to have a fairly decent format at least that talks about, at least the subject, the effective date that your policy is going to be, implemented. Who's responsible for doing it, what is the policy, and then what are the specific detailed procedures in making that work. So those are really important.
So all the steps that are required to make it happen.
And then of course the only other thing I'd like to say is making sure that your staff have been trained in your policies and procedures. They know what the forms are associated with them, and they know what the steps and processes are that you expect. And even more importantly, you or a designee needs to monitor that and make sure things are flowing and going the way that you've structured it.
Right. So the policies and procedures aren't just in a dusty binder in the corner of the library, that they're actually out there, that staff are trained in how to implement them. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in a moment in the closing materials about our on-site review, because that's part of what CDA will look for when we're out doing our on-site review. Is there anything more we want to say about any of the management services information that's not in the required state forms, but that's part of the application? Any other details that are worth highlighting here? No?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
Okay, so again, a whole component in that application that has a lot of information about your management of the center and your services that are not required state forms but are required documents that you're going to submit with the application. The facility information, you're going to give us a map and floor plan. So again, prior to us going on site and taking a look at the actual facility, you're going to give us a drawing that maps out the square footage, the room sizes, where things are going to take place, the bathroom facilities. There's going to be various things that we ask for in that facility floor plan, and again, that'll be in your instructions in your application that tells you how to design that. And then at the end of the process, we're going to get the ADHC license, a proposal to share space if that's needed. That's also part of that. It's part 3 of the application. And then we already went over all of the required forms for the fiscal part of the application. Okay, so now we've done the overview or the overview and the sort of in-depth review of all the pieces of the pre-screening process, part 1 of the certification, and part 2 being the application and all of the components of that. Let's talk about what it takes to finalize the certification. So this is where we have we've said to you, we've got all your application materials, we've reviewed them, everything that was in place up to that point towards this final stage, and it's all looking good, we're all in order. What kinds of things need to take place to wrap up the certification and finalize things? So in this graphic, you see the applicant, that's you. This is where you're going to be submitting your final staffing form showing your complete staffing roster. So filling in all those positions because you've hired them now, you're getting ready to open your doors. You're going to give us the final staffing forms that show us who all those people are. Any final disclosures from the required staff, those are those HS 215A forms where you show us their involvement in the center and past other facilities and whatnot for our provider screening. The administrator and program director qualifications forms, so if you've hired them at the last minute and haven't previously provided them, this is when you're going to give them to us. You're going to give us your professional sign-offs that are required for the Title 22 and Practices Act, the
Acknowledgement of Regulatory Responsibilities and Practice Acts.
I can never remember the name of that form. We call it the ARPA. It's where all of your staff are going to sign off that they know what their requirements are for their position under the Title 22 requirements and under their Professional Practices Act if they have them. Here's where you're going to finish up any fingerprint clearances that haven't been done for administrator and program director if they were hired towards the tail end of the process. But remember, this takes a little while to get done, so you want to get those people on board as soon as you can. So that's what's happening in this first step of the final phase. At the very, very end of the process, you're going to submit a copy of your ADHC license. We cannot actually certify you until we know that you have your ADHC license. So just for those of you who understand a little bit about the process, you may not actually get a copy of your license if you haven't previously, if you hadn't submitted your application for licensure significantly prior to when you start the certification process. But we will be communicating internally with the Department of Public Health. So if they let us know that they have you on track and they've given you a on-site review and you're ready for licensure, then that's going to be that final stage for us. We'll have that communication from them, and that will be what we need at the end of the process. Then when your copy of your license arrives, you'll send it to us. And then the last phase, you're going to submit information regarding your contractual agreements with your managed care plans, showing your managed care plan contractors. So again, that would be either that you have them, your contracts finalized, or that they are in progress. So that's what you're going to do as applicants in the last stage of this process. What CDA is going to be doing is reviewing final forms to ensure that all your staff meet the qualifications, that they have current licenses, that your staff, owners, directors are eligible for Medi-Cal participation, so those are all those required screenings, that the center is licensed or on its way to being licensed. Managed care contracts are in progress or in place, so we're going to review all of those things. We are going to conduct an on-site review for final evaluation of your readiness to begin providing CBAS. If necessary, we'll do issue statement of deficiencies and obtain a plan of correction if there are things that you're not in compliance with. But at that time, we're going to be looking for, again, sort of a slightly different look than our Department of Public Health licensing colleagues who will be looking at basic infrastructure, your building, they'll be looking at policies and procedures to see that they're there. They'll be looking at basic things to see that you've got the structure in place to open your doors. We're going to take it a little bit further. We're going to want to talk to your staff and make sure that they have been trained. We're going to want to see some evidence of some training. We're going to want to talk to staff about their understanding of policies and procedures and their duties. Again, looking at sort of a level of readiness to open your doors and begin providing services. And then we're going to, in the last phase, finalize your certification and activate your national provider identifier. That's your required number that you have to have. It's a nationwide number for Medicaid, Medicare services. So we're going to activate that number in California as a Medi-Cal for you as a Medi-Cal provider. So those are sort of the last steps. Again, in overview, all the time we're going back and forth with you and having conversations back and forth with the Department of Public Health and coordinating. And so that takes us to a summary here and wrap up. Common application errors, just want to share with you, again, Barb emphasized this over and over and over again, and we can't emphasize it enough. It is a waste of all of our time, yours and ours, going back and forth trying to get things like names correct and addresses correct. So be vigilant in how you complete the required forms, get your names consistent, your addresses consistent, and make sure that you submit all the required forms. We're going to tell you exactly what we want from you, so make sure you give us back everything that we've asked for. If you submit forms that are not accurate or complete, that's something that happens all the time. So we haven't been processing any new applicants for a long, long time, but we process certification renewal applications from existing providers all the time, and they are often not accurate or are incomplete. A common error, failure to disclose or false disclosure. Really, really important that you share with us anything that is asked on those forms about past issues with facilities and compliance. And again, it doesn't necessarily preclude you from participating, but if you falsely disclose or you fail to disclose past involvements, that would be a reason for problems. Duty statements don't reflect statutory or regulatory requirements. Okay, again, so in general, when we look at duty statements, we are looking for what the position is, what's in the laws and regs for that position, what special requirements or responsibilities they have based on the nature of the program and services you provide. So the duty statements need to fully address what the requirements are for each of the positions at the center. And oftentimes they don't. Policies and procedures lacking specifics, as in what is the actual policy of the center, what are the steps, the specific steps to getting there, and the individuals involved in accomplishing them. So there was one more final word that I was going to have about duty statements and policies. Oh, so when we're reviewing those, we're going to look at some of those, right, Barbara?
Yes, we are not asking for the core step and the therapist. So right. There's about 11.
And we're only asking for some of the policies and procedures.
Yes.
But we're going to get a snapshot of those. And in part of our review, what we're going to be doing is we'll look for the certain aspects that some of which we talked about today. And when we give feedback to applicants, if there are problems with the duty statements or policies and procedures, we will write that back to them as part of their feedback, but we're not going to do a big back and forth. We don't have the resources to fix all of those things, but we'll give feedback and then we'll review them when we're on site.
Yes, the expectation is that all policies and procedures will be complete and available for both licensing and certification surveys.
Great. Okay, some final reminders. CBAS initial certification has two main steps. I hope you got that much. Pre-screening step and the application step. You do not get into the pre-screening without making a formal request and having us track you, log you, and get you started, give you the forms, and then once we have gone back and forth and made sure that that step is complete, then we will let you know, and you can request an application at that point. And so those are the two main steps, and they're going to be very much tracked and sort of monitored on our part. CDA will not accept CBAS applications from prospective applicants until they successfully complete the pre-screening process. So again, got to get through phase 1 before you get to phase 2. CBAS final certification requires an ADHD license and contracts with Medi-Cal managed care plans. Want to emphasize this, that CBAS is a Medi-Cal managed care plan benefit. It's a managed care benefit. That means that you have to have payers for those services. If you want to run adult day healthcare services and serve private pay participants or serve individuals under the Veterans Administration through a contract or the regional centers through a contract, you are welcome to do so. CBAS is a Medi-Cal managed care benefit and paid by Medi-Cal managed care with a very, very few exceptions under fee for service. So you must have contracts in place with Medi-Cal managed care plans. They need to want what you want to do in order for you to get in and be a CBAS provider. So you need to be working with your Medi-Cal managed care plans. CDA is available to provide technical assistance both before, during, and after the initial certification process. So we're here to help. Want to make sure that you get it right and that, again, that you don't spin your wheels or waste any time doing something that you're not ready for or that you don't know how to do, and that we can help guide you through the process. So those are all the final reminders. Here's some contact information for us, CDA on the web. Here's our website, our address, our email. That's our main branch email for the CBAS branch here at CDA. And this is our phone number where you can contact us. And that concludes today's training module. I appreciate your time. Thank you for participating, and we look forward to working with you in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.